This is problem 7-82 from section 7.1.5. Change each of the following equations to graphing form, and then, without graphing, identify the vertex and axis of symmetry for each. So we have in part A, it's an equation in standard form, and we're going to change it to graphing form. And to do this, we're going to complete the square, which we've had a lot of practice with this in the last several homework assignments. The previous problem, you completed the square. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out a 3 from the first two terms. So I'm going to just leave the x squared minus 6x and leave the plus 26 on the end. Okay, so I just pulled out a 3 from the first two terms, and we're just going to deal with inside the parentheses and complete the square with that part. So I'm going to have my box here. So this is just representing inside the parentheses. Then my x squared. To complete the square, I need the sides to both be the same. So I'm going to split up my middle term, this negative 6x, into two equal parts. So negative 3x and negative 3x. It needs to be split up equally. Then I'm going to figure out what do these dimensions need to be. And most of the time, it's just going to be the numbers that are in there already. X, and then minus 3, minus 3. So if I multiply those together to get this top missing piece here, I should have a positive 9. Now how many unit tiles or how many just constant terms are in this parentheses stuff? There are 0 constant terms. So I have 0. I need to get to 9, so I need to add 9 to both sides. Okay, so I'm going to add 9 inside my little parentheses. Plus 9. Now, this is all times 3, so what we've been saying lately is I'm going to add not just 9 on this side, but 3 times that amount, because we pulled out the 3 to start with. So since this 3 is really times everything in here, it's really 3 times 9, so I need to add 3 times 9 on the other side. Okay? So let's rewrite this a little bit. So we're going to write our left side, which is y plus 3 times 9 is going to give me 27, equals, I still have the 3 I factored out in the beginning, right up there. Parenthesis, I'm going to write my box, instead of area as a sum, I write it as a product, so that's x minus 3, and then since I have 2 of them, I'm going to square it, and then I have this plus 26 over here. Okay, so the reason this 9 is going to get like sucked into this square, so I'm not adding 9 to the 26, okay, so it becomes part of the square, so this is what was in the square, the 9 gets sucked into that. So I'm really just going to kind of simplify this a little bit, so I have y, and subtract 27 from both sides. Oops, that looks pretty bad. So what I have left over is y equals 3 times x minus 3 squared. And 26 minus 27 gives me a negative 1. So that is my answer in graphing form. We have to change it to graphing form. Okay. The next question is stating the vertex. Well, the vertex I should be able to see easily when it's in graphing form. It's always the opposite of this first number. So the opposite of negative 3 is positive 3. I keep the second number the same, so negative 1. So that is my vertex. Make sure you're answering all the parts of the question. I saw that a lot when I collected homework in my class. A lot of people are just answering maybe the first part and not necessarily every other question. The last question is the line of symmetry. Okay, so this is going to happen when x equals a certain number. So if you think about your parabola, just a general parabola like that, the vertex is down here, the line of symmetry goes right through that vertex, right? So it goes through the x coordinate of the vertex. So I'm just going to say x equals 3 is my line of symmetry equation. Okay? So those are my 3 parts to the answer for part A. I'm going to go on to part B on the next slide. So that's part A. We're going to do the same thing on part B. So I'm going to pull out my 3 again. In this case it happens to be a 3 again. Now, if I pull out a 3, if I take negative 4 and divide it by 3, I have negative 4/3. Okay, so it might not always be nice stuff, but I need to pull out that 3 because I need this number to be a 1 all the time. So that's why I'm dividing by 3. And I'm going to leave my minus 11 out here because that's really going to get me some other stuff. I could really pull out the 3 from everything, but that's just going to kind of be a lot of mess. So if we have this term on the outside already, it'll be a little easier when we complete the square. So again, I'm just going to complete the square with just inside the parentheses. Forget about everything else for right now. X squared always goes in the bottom left. Now I want to split up negative 4/3 x, so that'll be negative 2/3 x, negative 2/3 x. And now you're going to hate the fractions, but it's going to work out, trust me. So I have negative 2/3 are my outsides, negative 2/3 here. So remember I'm multiplying to get this top box. So when I multiply a fraction, I just multiply straight across. So negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4, and 3 times 3 is 9. So I really have 4/9 in that top corner of the box. Okay, but how many constant terms do I have up here? I have none. So I'm going to have a 0. Now I need to add 4/9 to this side. Now that is a complete square. Now this gets sucked in to right here. Okay, so now I don't add the 4/9 on the other side. Now I'm going to add 3 times 4/9 because that 3 on the outside. Okay? So we're going to rewrite everything. Everything in the red is representing the parentheses right now. So I'm just going to replace those parentheses with the red stuff. So I have y plus 3 times 4/9 equals my 3 I factored out, and then instead of parentheses being as a sum, I'm going to write it as a product. So x minus 2/3 squared. And then our constant term on the end, we didn't factor out 3 from, was minus 11. So that goes right there. So let's kind of simplify this a little bit more. So I have 3 divided by 9. This is really going to become a 3 on the bottom. So let's rewrite that one more step. So y plus 4/3 equals 3 times x minus 2/3 squared minus 11. The last step is I want to subtract this 4/3 to get it over here. Okay. So if I take negative 11 and minus 4/3 from that, I'm going to have negative 37/3. Okay, so you can leave it as, which suggests leaving it as a fraction, especially since they're thirds and that repeats on forever. If you had to graph it, yes, you would change it into decimals to approximate that, but the question specifically says do not graph it, so you don't have to do that. So the second part of part B is to find the vertex. Again, I'm looking at this number, taking the opposite of it, so it's positive 2/3. This number, take the actual thing, minus 37/3. That's my vertex. Line of symmetry is going to be x equals this value right here, so 2/3. Okay. So those are my answers for part B of problem 7-82, where you complete the square to find the vertex and line of symmetry.